Hey guys, day 20 of Autism Awareness Month. Today's topic is not a pleasant one, but I think in terms of autism and disabilities in general, it's something that has to be discussed and people need to be aware of. Unfortunately, it is the reality that autistic people and people with other disabilities are much more likely to experience bullying, abuse, neglect, and be victims of crimes. Yeah, not a comfortable thing to talk about, especially when, your own child could be a statistic, right? So let's talk about first bullying. In some studies, at least 50% of parents and children said that the child with Asperger's or autism was being actively bullied within the last year. At least 50% of them also stated that they had been hit by a peer, and up to 10% said they had been jumped by a gang of children or other youth to the point of being physically injured. And then one study in terms of abuse, it was a study in Tennessee that they did. They tracked all the children born in a certain period, over a certain period of years, and found that children with an autism diagnosis, like 17% of them were referred to the abuse hotline, compared to only about 7% of the general population. There hasn't really been any studies on sexual abuse with children with autism, but there have been studies on sexual abuse with children with disabilities, and it found that children with disabilities are 4 times more likely to be sexually abused before the age of 18 than neurotypical children or those without disabilities. In terms of in schools, the use of seclusion and restraints have killed children. Most of them are children with disabilities, especially with like the behavioral issues of autistic kids. They're more likely to be restrained and injured. It's estimated that at least 80% of all autistic people in their lifetime will have been the victim of some crime. They found that in some areas it was as high as like over 40% of autistic adults reported that they had been coerced to do something or had money stolen from them or other items stolen from them by people that they thought were their friends. So all of these studies combined, why are children with autism and other disabilities so much more likely to be abused and victims of crimes? People prey on the weakest in society. Some people, if they see a vulnerability, they're going to go after it. If they see someone who can't talk for themselves, can't verbalize what happened, then they see someone who's weak and that they can use as a punching bag, basically, in some situations. Unfortunately, that's not a metaphor. Like, yes, a lot of abuse comes from in homes, unfortunately, but that's for all victims of child abuse. Most of them are abused within the home or by a close family member, but it also is it's a little higher for autistic children to be abused outside of the home, in a school setting, daycare, and other places like that. And that's why parents like me fight so hard to get cameras in the classroom and listening devices. It just seems like there's a lot more cases of autistic children. I don't know if that's a media thing, but you see it all the time, of children being, dragged, pushed, kicked, punched, verbally abused in a classroom or bus setting. Unfortunately, that was definitely a big factor for me to homeschool the children. partially the reason why I put cameras in the home too, to watch them, and if we ever got any caregivers, I want to trust people. But when your child can't fully communicate what's happening, you kind of have to have a little more surveillance. And people have to be okay with that they have to know that, you know, you're just trying to protect them. You're not trying to invade other people's rights by videotaping them or anything like that. There are plenty of organizations out there that are fully dedicated to giving information out about the signs of abuse and neglect and all of that, and what steps you can take if you suspect that. So you can find all that information out on your own. I'm not an expert in that. I just know that children like mine are so much more susceptible to being hurt and abused and bullied. Until next time, guys. Bye.